Hello, welcome to School Health Presents, working with our exceptional individuals during the COVID-19 pandemic. In this video, we're going to be discussing some of the things that you may already have at home or things that you might want to consider for home use when it comes to actually interacting with paper or with other objects. First and foremost, some of the things that you definitely want to take a look at. If the individual is able to use scissors, take a look at what types of scissors are out there. Always make sure that they are safety scissors. If you've got a child that can only use one hand, take a look at some of the one-handed scissors that are available for them. Realize that cutting things under proper supervision actually does several different things. We are doing some eye-hand tracking as we're going through. We're actually doing some hand strength as we're going in, some fine motor work. So there's a lot of different things that happen with properly observed cutting that can be beneficial for our students along the way. Take a look too, if your individual has some issues when it comes to writing because a standard pen or a standard pencil just is not able to work well in their hands. Perhaps they need something more like a weighted pen or a weighted pencil. There are weighted pens and pencils out there. Take a look too if you've got some pens that might be a little bit heavier than the norm. One of the things you can do right off the bat is if you do have something that's weighted but they can't get the proper grip on it, take some duct tape. Wrap duct tape right down around the tip, because what happens is once you're able to get them to a point where they're able to grip that, you can then begin to train the hands as you're moving through. So as they're practicing their writing, whatever they're doing, prints, cursive, whatever, you can every other week maybe take one strip off, wipe it down with some Goo Gone so you don't have residuals that would actually throw their fingers off, but have them work on getting that pincer grip a little bit better. Another thing that you want to consider using, and you can use this for a couple of different reasons, pencil grips. Pencil grips are absolutely phenomenal. Why? Because they help us actually use the proper three-point grip when we are actually using a writing instrument like that. Some of them also have little guys like these shell grips that you're able to keep the fingers then in a very good location on the pencil or pen. The other thing I like the most about pencil grips is as long as you don't have a biter, these actually make for great fidgets too. So if you see a student needing to take a break and they just start squeezing their pencil grip, let them do so. That actually is a very good way of relieving some of the anxiety and the stress of the work they've been doing, along with the fact that it's something socially acceptable because it's a pencil grip. It's not something outrageous that they can't take out into public. When you're doing anything like that, when you're doing any cutting, when you're doing any writing, when you're doing any work that involves the hands, please make sure you are in contact with that individual's OT and PT. Make sure that those activities you're doing coincide with what they're already working with them on. Make sure that you are giving the proper support going in. We came out of a generation, for those of us a little bit older, where some of our left-handed individuals, neurotypical or exceptional, were forced to use their right hand. Why? Because we didn't understand that you could actually write with your left hand. However, we are not in that day and age now. But for, again, you the parents as you're at home, make sure you've got that support coming in from the OT and follow along with that. You know, yes, there are going to be times when that individual may not want to do things and may turn around and say, well, it hurts. Define when it hurts, and when it hurts, there's a difference. If it is uncomfortable, that may be part of the therapy process, but the important thing is to talk to your OTs about it. Other things you want to be aware of. Have different types of slant boards available for the individuals for a number of different reasons. I've got two different types of slant boards up here with me just holding things right now. I've got a pocketed slant board that some of you may already have at home. This is a great place to put little cards, chips, little items that a student can easily access and put together, especially when we're using something like the PEC system. If you've got an individual who has some issues with speaking or putting words together, have something like this where they can easily grab and access the different items, or they can also easily reach out and point. It's not always easy to come and point down. Pointing straight forward sometimes is an easier reach for some individuals. Along the idea of a slant board. A slant board is great to have if that individual does need to do some writing. OTs will tell you that the most natural way for any human being to write is not on a completely horizontal surface or a completely vertical surface. Like almost all our tables and now I'm going to date myself when I say this, all the chalkboard boards, now they're interactive whiteboards. But the easiest way to write is actually at a bit of a slant. So if you're going out and you've got a slant board, use that because it's an easier way to get the writing in a true way of actually having that individual work on their skills. If you don't have a slant board readily available, this is just a binder. But binders are great because they can at least be that starting point. What you've got to be careful of with a binder versus a true slant board. A binder is not going to be able to take heavy amounts of pressure. So if you've got a student who's more leaning into it, be careful because they may push down on that binder as they go through. But again, a binder can be used most easily when it comes to having something that's more like a slant board. So as we're putting our areas together, these are things we need to think about too. But these are also some ways for us to engage our students on a differentiated level. We may not always have different pictures available to us. So you know what they can do? Find a magazine, go into a magazine, cut them out. We used to do those with collages in the old days. But once those are out, put them somewhere where they're accessible. Let that student then go on and do something like create stories from the pictures they've cut out. Let them cut out pictures of things that they want to do later on in their lives, but tell why that picture, why they want to do that. So these are all things that you can be doing at home, either with materials that you've got or some minor modifications of materials. So keep an idea of what it is that your students need to be doing, what those individuals are trying to work for, and some ways of approaching it that might be